Wiesel was a Romanian-born Jew who survived the Holocaust of World War II. He describes in his book, Night, how he was taken to Auschwitz in the spring of 1944 when he was in his mid-teens. One of his most horrifying memories in the concentration camp was when the guards tortured and hanged a young Jewish boy. Just before the hanging, Ellie heard someone behind him whisper, "Where is God? Where is He?" Now, thousands of prisoners were forced that day to watch the hanging. And not heavy enough for the weight of his body to break his neck, the boy took a half hour to die in agony. And when it was all over, the inmates were forced to march past the boy and look him full in the face. Behind him, Ellie heard the same voice ask, "Where is God now?" And Wiesel writes, "And I heard a voice within me answer him, 'Where is He? Here He is, hanging here on this gallows.'" Now, today's gospel is a journey of utter despondency and bitter disappointment. Where is Jesus? Where is He? After the horror of the last couple of days, Cleopas and his buddy are getting the heck out of Dodge. I mean, they're fleeing a painful past, sure, but the only problem is they're headed for a hopeless future. Where is Jesus now? You know, probably one of the greatest ironies of all time is this. The chief priests, the Pharisees, and the Romans all collaborated to guard the tomb of Jesus while His disciples were downcast and aimless at the loss of their leader. The enemies of Christ, who put Him to death, expected the resurrection, while His own friends did not. But just a few days before, their hopes had burned brightly, but the darkness of Good Friday swallowed up all that light. No subject was more on the minds of these two than the person of Christ and what had happened over the last 3 days. Where is Jesus? Their focus was so fixed on their own dashed dreams that they didn't even recognize the stranger who began to walk with them. Where is He? Now, no one expects a dead guy to come walking up to them, but maybe if they had trusted in Jesus, if they had just understood. The thing was, they were blinded by their unbelief, and their sad dispositions kept them from receiving any light at all. Where is Jesus now? Have you ever been there? You know, whether it's some huge upheaval in our lives or just simply a vague, general loss of direction, meaning, purpose, we can easily lose sight of Jesus, even though He's walking right there beside us. But then we're too busy looking in the wrong direction, looking for the wrong things to notice. Where is Jesus? Where is He? Now, obviously, the reason that these two were so down in the mouth was shock and sorrow. They'd just been with Jesus. They had just seen Him raise a man from the dead, and the people in Jerusalem were starting to believe in Him. And then suddenly, Suddenly they see him arrested, beaten, crucified, and buried. Story over. Theirs was the shock and sorrow of shattered careers. These guys had great hopes. God had disappointed them. Where is Jesus now? Cleopas and his friend thought they had found the Redeemer before he was crucified, but a little later, on that first Easter Sunday, they would find a Redeemer who was crucified. Now they had to have heard Jesus tell them time and time again that he would be crucified and rise again. But they couldn't fit that into their idea of what a Messiah should be. Well, they could wrap their heads around the idea of him as a teacher, a prophet, a redeemer, a reformer, a deliverer from the Romans. But a cross just didn't figure into that equation. No way could glory come from a scandal like that. How often have we tried to force Jesus into the confines of our own ideas of what he should be? How often have we limited him to our own personal expectations? And how often have we walked away from him and then wondered, where is Jesus? Where is he? I've done it way too many times to count. And when that darkness surrounds us that inevitably comes when we're away from his light, it always seems we're so quick to blame him. Where is Jesus now? If these two guys on the road had just had a fraction of the faith that the thief who was crucified with Jesus had, they would have known and believed what Scripture had said about him. They would have known from Genesis how the seed of a woman would crush the snake of evil in human hearts. They would have known from Exodus how the Messiah would be the brazen serpent that would be lifted up to heal humanity's woundedness, and how his own side would be smitten, from which the waters of mercy and regeneration would come, just like the rock in the desert. They would have understood from the death, from David, the death that he would experience, and the last words he would utter from the cross. From Isaiah, how he would be Emmanuel, God with us, who would suffer and die for sin. And from Daniel, how he would be the mountain that would fill the entire earth. They would have known that the gloom of the cross was the gateway to glory. And when Jesus came up to them that day, they would have said, "Welcome back, Jesus. Man, you're a sight for sore eyes." Now, these boys had learned a lot by the time they got to Emmaus, but they weren't quite there yet. They were still trying very hard to fit all of this into something that made sense to them. They still didn't see Jesus. I'm afraid it's something that we tend to do too. But the truth is that Jesus is way too big to fit into our puny preconceptions. Jesus, his message, and his purpose are far bigger than our ambitions and agendas, our sorrows and pains, our hopes and our joys. If we are to see with the eyes of faith, we need to let go of our very private and very limited vision of him and start letting him define who we are, not the other way around. Now, it wasn't until The invited guest of the two disciples acted as host at supper at Emmaus. That complete clarity came to them, and the question, where is Jesus? God answered once and for all. The breaking of the bread had sucked them right into the vortex of the glorified Christ. And that's the invitation that He extends to each and every one of us every time we gather for the liturgy. Where is Jesus? Where is He? He's there. He's there. He's there. He's there. He's there. He's in every lost hope, every bitter disappointment, every tear that's shed, and every pain that comes our way. He's in every lively longing, every realized dream, and every smile that breaks out like sunshine across our faces. He is always, always right here with us. And may our hearts burn within us and lead us to recognize the stupefying glory that can come out of the blue.